Bianca Ojukwu, widow-wife of the late Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, is accused of being involved in the persecution and incarceration of Simon Ekpa, a key figure in the Biafra restoration movement. The Finnish government has allegedly collaborated with Nigeria to suppress Simon Ekpa, who was blamed for obstructing diplomatic relations between Finland and Nigeria. Bianca Ojukwu's appointment as Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs is seen as a tactical move by the Nigerian government to weaken the Biafra agitation. Southeast politicians are accused of prioritizing personal gains over the development and unity of the Igbo people, contributing to the region's decline. Some critics argue that Biafra's struggle is an ideology that cannot be crushed, despite internal betrayals and government suppression. The absence of visionary Igbo leaders is blamed for the region's stagnation, with calls for young Igbos to engage in politics and drive meaningful change. Rising violence, including kidnappings and political assassinations, is highlighted as a major crisis fueled by both external forces and internal sabotage. Some Igbo politicians and leaders are accused of working against the Biafra cause, betraying their own people for political appointments and financial gains. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, is recognized as the only steadfast leader of the movement, despite his incarceration. They insist that the struggle for Biafra's independence will continue, predicting an eventual political reckoning where Nigerians will have to decide their future. I want to tell you about a story that caught my attention recently, a story that weaves together passion, politics, betrayal, and the struggle for a dream that many believe can never truly be extinguished. It is a story about a controversial moment in Nigerian political life, one that involves figures whose names stir deep emotions and memories. I am talking about the shocking allegations surrounding the role of Bianca Ojukwu in the current affairs of the Biafra restoration movement, and the claim that she may have betrayed a key activist in that movement, Simon Ekpa. Now, before I dive into the details, let me set the scene. For those of you who might not be familiar with the background, the Biafra movement has long been more than just a political agitation. It is a struggle imbued with history, pride, and a determination to reclaim an identity that many Igbo people feel has been eroded over time. The movement's roots stretch back decades, and the memories of the Nigerian Civil War, led by the legendary Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, still evoke both deep pain and fierce determination. It is against this backdrop that the recent allegations have emerged, allegations that link Bianca Ojukwu, the widow of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, to actions that many see as a betrayal of the very cause her late husband once fought for. The news began circulating with a bold headline that left little room for subtlety. A shocking revelation that Bianca Ojukwu was accused of having a hand in the persecution and imprisonment of Simon Ekpa, a man who has become one of the most prominent voices in the Biafra restoration movement. According to reports, it is alleged that Bianca's involvement goes far beyond mere association. Some claim that she played an active role in actions that have undermined the struggle for an independent Biafra. I remember reading that not only was she implicated in the suppression of Simon Ekpa, but there were also suggestions that her appointment as Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs was a calculated move by the Nigerian government. The argument was that by placing her in such a significant position, the government was attempting to weaken and silence the agitation that has long been a rallying cry for many Igbo activists. What makes this story even more layered is the international twist that has been introduced into the narrative. Allegations surfaced that the Finnish government might have collaborated with Nigerian authorities to suppress Simon Ekpa. It is said that Simon Ekpa was blamed for obstructing the delicate balance of diplomatic relations between Finland and Nigeria. The idea that a European government could be involved in internal Nigerian political struggles seems almost surreal. Yet in the world of international politics, strange alliances and strategies are not unheard of. As I tried to piece together this aspect of the story, I found myself both intrigued and deeply unsettled by the notion that a government from thousands of miles away might be implicated in the fate of a political activist who is passionately fighting for his people's rights. I remember thinking about the history of the Biafra struggle and how, even in the midst of such intense internal and external pressures, the ideology behind the movement has proven to be incredibly resilient. Many critics argue that the dream of an independent Biafra is more than just a political goal. It is an ideology, a deep-seated belief in the right to self-determination that cannot simply be quashed by government suppression or internal betrayal. In this context, the allegations against Bianca Ojukwu take on a particularly painful dimension. Here is a woman whose family name is so heavily associated with the fight for Biafra's freedom, now being accused of undermining the very struggle that has defined the aspirations of countless Igbo people. As I delved deeper into the details of the report, I discovered that the controversy was being discussed widely on various online platforms, including a particularly animated discussion on a popular YouTube channel hosted by a presenter who goes by the name Linda on her TV show. Linda's style is conversational and unapologetically direct, and I found myself drawn into her narrative as she recounted the unfolding drama. In her opening remarks, Linda welcomed her viewers with a friendly "good morning" and an assurance that her goal was to educate and inform the public about important issues from around the globe. She was careful to emphasize that her show does not promote misleading or inflammatory content, and that her purpose was not to incite violence, but to shed light on the facts, however controversial they might be. Linda went on to explain that there were reports, she stressed, not yet confirmed facts, that implicated Bianca Ojukwu in the persecution of Seaman Ekpa. According to her, these allegations were part of a larger narrative in which the Nigerian government was allegedly using Bianca's appointment as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs as a tool to silence the agitation for Biafra. I found it particularly striking when she explained that, in her view, this political maneuver was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of behavior by some politicians in the southeast region of Nigeria. These politicians, she argued, seemed more interested in securing personal appointments and financial gains than in uniting and developing the Igbo people. It was a narrative that resonated with many who have long felt that the leadership in the region was more self-serving than visionary. Throughout her discussion, Linda was unreserved in her criticism of the political elite in the southeast. She lamented that while there was much talk of Biafra and the aspirations for self-determination, there was a glaring absence of leaders who were truly committed to the well-being of their people. She mentioned that after the war, some of the prominent figures who had once fought for Biafra had chosen solitude or had retreated from active political participation, which left a vacuum that was increasingly filled by opportunists. In her view, the agitation for Biafra was being sabotaged from within, not only by external forces such as the Nigerian government and its alleged foreign collaborators, but also by individuals who, for personal gain, were working against the interests of their own people. One of the most compelling parts of the conversation for me was when Linda spoke about the legacy of the late Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, a man revered by many for his role in the Nigerian Civil War. He had once led the Biafra movement with a vision of liberation and self-determination, and his name remains synonymous with the struggle for Biafra. Yet, Linda pointed out, his widow Bianca Ojukwu seemed to have taken a very different path. Instead of being a unifying figure for the people, her actions, if the allegations were indeed true, appeared to have contributed to the weakening of the movement. It was a painful irony, one that made me wonder about the personal cost of political ambition and the sacrifices that are sometimes demanded by the pursuit of power. As the discussion continued, Linda also brought up the issue of rising violence in the southeast, a matter that has become all too common in recent times. There have been numerous reports of kidnappings, political assassinations, and other forms of violence that have left communities traumatized and fearful. Many of these incidents, she argued, were not random acts of cruelty, but were part of a broader pattern of instability that was exacerbated by the actions of political saboteurs and opportunists. In her view, the escalating violence was both a symptom and a cause of the deep-seated problems in the region, a region that, despite its rich cultural heritage and potential, seemed to be caught in a cycle of decline and despair. Linda's narrative was rich with personal opinions and passionate rhetoric, and it became clear to me that for her, the struggle for Biafra was not merely a political issue, but a deeply personal one. She called upon the youth of the Igbo community to get involved in politics, to take responsibility for their heritage, and to stand up for their rights. In her words, the absence of visionary leadership was one of the key reasons why the region had stagnated, and she urged her viewers to become the change makers that the community so desperately needed. It was a call to action that resonated with the spirit of the past, a past in which leaders had not hesitated to sacrifice for the greater good. One of the most emotional aspects of Linda's commentary was her reference to the concept of loyalty. She questioned where the loyalties of certain political figures truly lay, whether with the people of the Southeast or with the broader interests of the Nigerian state. This question took on even greater significance in light of the allegations against Bianca Ojukwu. If indeed she had betrayed the cause for personal or political gain, then what did that mean for the future of the Biafra agitation? Linda's tone was one of disillusionment and sorrow as she recalled the days when leaders like Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu and his comrades had fought with a clear purpose, only to see that same purpose subverted by the ambitions of those who now held power. At this point in the discussion, I found myself reflecting on the complex interplay between personal ambition and collective struggle. How does one balance the desire for personal advancement with the need to uphold the principles of justice and freedom that have inspired generations? It is a question that has no easy answer, and yet it lies at the heart of many political movements, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. It is a question that has no easy answer, and yet it lies at the heart of many political movements, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. For many Igbo people, the dream of Biafra is intertwined with their identity, a symbol of resistance against oppression and a hope for a better future. To see that dream jeopardized by internal divisions and betrayals is to witness a tragedy unfolding in real time. Linda's narrative then shifted to a discussion of international relations, and here the story took an even more unexpected turn. She mentioned that the Finnish government had reportedly played a role in the suppression of Simon Ekpa, accusing him of being an obstacle to the development of diplomatic relations between Finland and Nigeria. This allegation was as astonishing as it was controversial, suggesting that the struggle for Biafra was not confined to the borders of Nigeria, but had tentacles reaching into international diplomacy. According to the reports, Finland, a country known for its commitment to neutrality and human rights, had somehow found common cause with the Nigerian government in their efforts to curb the influence of Biafra agitators. It was a claim that, if true, would highlight the complex and often murky world of international politics, where alliances can be formed not on the basis of shared values but for pragmatic, sometimes cynical reasons. The idea that a European government could be involved in such internal Nigerian matters added another layer of complexity to the story. It made me think about how political struggles are never isolated. They are part of a larger web of relationships and interests that span continents. In this context, the actions of individuals like Bianca Ojukwu and Simon Ekpa were not just about local or national politics. They were part of a global narrative in which power, diplomacy, and ideology intersect in unpredictable ways. For someone like me, trying to make sense of it all, the story was both fascinating and deeply troubling. As Linda continued to speak, her words painted a picture of a region in crisis. She described a southeast that was increasingly marked by instability and violence, a place where kidnappings and political assassinations were becoming alarmingly common. In her view, these developments were not the result of random acts of violence, but were symptomatic of a deeper malaise, one that had been allowed to fester by leaders who had lost sight of their responsibilities. She argued that while some political figures had once embodied the hope and resilience of the Igbo people, many of those in power today seemed more interested in securing their own positions than in working for the collective good. This observation struck a chord with me. I recalled stories from my own community about how, over time, the leadership that once inspired unity and progress had given way to figures who were more concerned with personal gain than with the welfare of the people. It was a theme that sadly is all too common in many parts of the world. Linda's impassioned plea for a return to values of loyalty, vision, and collective responsibility resonated deeply. She urged the people of the Southeast, and indeed all those who believed in the ideals of the Biafra movement, to reclaim their power by engaging in the political process. She believed that only through active participation and unwavering commitment could the dream of self-determination be revived. One of the most memorable moments in the broadcast came when Linda contrasted the actions of those she saw as betrayers with the steadfast resolve of leaders like Nnamdi Kanu, who, despite being incarcerated, continued to be a symbol of the movement. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, was repeatedly described as the only true agitator who had remained unswayed by the temptations of power or the coercions of the state. In her eyes, even though he was imprisoned, his spirit and determination continued to inspire those who believed in the cause of Biafra.
There are reports and allegations that Bianca Ojukwu has a hand in the incarceration of Simon Ekpa. I repeat, there are reports, there are allegations that Bianca Ojukwu, the wife of Ojukwu, who was appointed as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, has a hand in the persecution of Simon Ekpa. Now, Finland also has been accused of wanting or collaborating with its Nigerian counterpart to sell off Simon Ekpa. Notice that when the ambassador came into Nigeria and spoke to Tinubu, he said that Simon Ekpa has been blocking bilateral relations between Finland and the Nigerian government, and Biafrans all over the world are crying and saying, why would Finland give up its own citizen? This has been unheard before. Now, the buttons that they are pressing today, Bianca Ojukwu is aware of what is happening on the Nigerian side. Tinubu appointing Bianca Ojukwu as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs is strategic to silence the Biafran agitation. And it is unfortunate that it is one of our own that is used against us. Even the wife of Ojukwu. I've told you that only one person I respect this agitation of Biafra, only one person. It is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I might give honor to Ojukwu, but I don't respect him. You know why? Effiong was part of that war. But after the war, Effiong has to stay in solitude. He did not seek for appointment. He did not seek to be part of the government. He stayed to himself. But Ojukwu, after he left Nigeria and came back after Islam, wanted to become president of Nigeria. Somebody that declared Biafra wanted to become president of Nigeria under Abga. When Wazirike messed up, he was also attacked. Yes, they blasted him. So if an Ojukwu would take that position, I was a young person in secondary school when I heard that Ojukwu is campaigning to become Nigeria's president after the whole war. And most of the statements he made, and also that these guys are not serious when we talk about agitation. If you are agitating for a country, you don't work against that country. That is treason. you want to become the president of Nigeria after declaring Biafra is treasonable felony on Biafrans. That's why Nnamdi Kanu, some of the reports we are getting is that the reasons why he will not be out of that place because he doesn't want to succumb to the conditions that the Nigerian government is putting on the table. He's not going to agree to that condition because it will betray Biafra and the agitation. These leaders, these political leaders that led Biafra and fought for Biafra, Effiong is a man I respect so much more than Ojukwu. Even though he had a hand in trying to declare whatever, Effiong I respect much more than Ojukwu. Now this is a Bianca Ojukwu taking up a position in the government of Nigeria, and look at the fingers, the allegations that she has a hand in the downfall of the agitation coming from the autopilot. Now, to what end? That's the question. To what end? We have leaders from the southeast. What have been their contribution to the development of the Igbo race? Ndigo. What has been their contribution to the development of the people in the southeast? But it is just to take up appointments for their selfish interests and their selfish reasons, even to sabotage their region. Look at how the southeast is getting backward by the day. This Bianca Ojukwu, what has been her contribution to galvanize leaders to come together and make sure that they draw a roadmap for the southeast, is just to be collecting appointments left, right, center. So it's very unfortunate that allegations are that she has a hand in whatever is happening to Ekpa. I know the Finland government is by the corner. The Finland government is looking for documents it can use to penalize or to profound Ekpa guilty of whatever allegations that they are accusing of. Although some people think that the Biafran agitation is dead, but you don't understand what is going on. The Biafran agitation cannot be dead. It is an ideology. I've said it over and over again. Going to your farm, there are many roads to your farm. You don't go through one way. You understand? There are so many groups that agitate for Biafra. IPOB, that the court said that okay, it's a terrorist organization, is one of many other groups. If some people are shading IPOB, necessarily IPOB might mean an average Igbo man, but IPOB is a group. Other groups are there under this Biafra agitation. So if you are able to stop one group or the second one, you can't stop everybody. You can't stop everybody from, you see, the way this Biafra theater play is going to play before our eyes. Those that sabotage Biafra, someone like Bianca Ojukwu, tomorrow she will come and say one or two things about Biafra. When they're having a dialogue with the Nigerian government on this Biafra thing, she will come after picking up a role to sabotage its people. However, I'm not against you as an Igbo man from taking up roles in the government, because we cannot run in isolation. But what I'm talking about is that persons of those caliber should not be seen taking up appointments by the government. People of that caliber, people like Ojukwu, you know, when you belong to an organization, there's some people that there's some things they don't do, they don't have to do. When it comes to this Biafra of a thing, somebody like Nnamdi Kanu will now be taking a government position. He has gone past it. These are deities, these are gods in the southeast. These are people that should be deified. People that took up an agitation of a people, of a race, and brought it to life. These are people that don't need to succumb to anything of ephemeral of the government. But you have Bianca Ojukwu going to take appointment. To what end? That's my question. Is it to the benefit of the Biafran people of the southeast, or the benefit of Nigerians? Where is her loyalty? Where is she going to pledge her loyalty? You see, these people knew her and used her for the purpose because she will fit into that description to sabotage the agitation coming from the autopilot. I'm not in full support of the autopilot and some of what the things they do, but I've said one thing now, I'm consistent on it. Anything that makes Biafra trend, like everybody's talking about Biafra, 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 it is welcome. People that fight war, there are good sides and bad sides. See, this guy has been incarcerated. Who talks about Biafra anymore? The consciousness has reduced. You see the importance of having Biafra on the conversation. Having Biafra on the conversation. Everybody is now tilting to southeast, focusing on these leaders, God-forsaken leaders that have no vision for the people, but they are puppets and they have personal interests that they want to satisfy. It's unfortunate that we don't have leadership in the southeast, and people are just doing things anyhow. There's no road map, there's no agenda, there's no central leadership, there's no focus whatsoever. That is why people will respect Nnamdi Kanu than any other leader in the southeast, because that man gave the southeasterners a sense of direction. This is where we are going to. We have the Ohanese, we have other groups, and nothing is happening, nothing tangible is happening in the southeast. And here we are as a region of saboteurs, as a region of leaders that are not visionaries, that do not align with the people, that do not align with the commonwealth of the people of the southeastern. Look at how the Igbos have been rubbished all over Nigeria. They have leaders at the House of the Senate, the House of Assembly. They cannot speak. Put people in the right positions. We don't have the right people that are being fixed in these positions. Okay, you are there, do something. You are not doing anything. Of all things, you see these politicians resorting to killings, political killings, to get a position whereby you do nothing but just collect allowance and sabotage your people. It is disgraceful that the wife of Ojukwu is part and parcel of the caliber of people that is sabotaging Biafra that his husband fought for. And I don't even blame her. It's becoming clear. The allegations, okay, how did this man die? Who has a hand in the death of Ojukwu? And even Ojukwu himself. This is my question. I've been asking it. If you are watching this video, help me answer. After fighting Biafra, what instructed you to come and contest as president in Nigeria? What are you trying to achieve becoming a president in Nigeria? As a warlord that declared against another country, you become president of Nigeria. You know the political terrain of the whole thing. You know that you will not get there's a way you build momentum, you build capacity in a place. You know that the odds cannot be against you. Then you just, do you want to just, is that, what kind of wisdom is that? May God help everyone that is fighting to get their freedom from a system that is subjugating an average Igbo man. Look at Nigeria today. Look at what's happening in Nigeria today. The Igbos are becoming irrelevant. Somebody said that you don't need Igbo votes to win elections. Imagine. Let's talk about what is happening in Ebonyi State. Now the killings in Ebonyi State tells a lot about the insecurity in the southeastern part of Nigeria, involving the Fulani and the negligence of the southeast governors. Now, if we talk about people agitating for a Biafra now, you look at some of these things are the reasons why people are agitating. And some of our leaders will now take it upon themselves to sabotage that agitation. Look at how people are running away from their ancestral homes. I heard that Ebonyi youths are going on rampage, destroying houses and properties belonging to the Fulani. And this is another form of chaos. And when something starts and happens, you see, people will have resentment. When there is violence, when there is destruction in a place, people will always have resentment against these people, especially these Fulani people. Now, where are the leaders? Look at the antecedent the Fulani has brought into Igbo land. Kidnapping. Our people have taken over kidnapping. Now, they are the ones perpetrating all sorts of crimes against humanity in the southeast. Look at what the revelations we had in Anambra State. A Anambra State House of Assembly member kidnapped. They took 100 million from him and they killed him and dumped his body. His body even decayed. They caught these guys. These are young guys in their 20s. Look at the development we are getting from the southeast. And we have governors that have been there for ages. We want a system that will benefit the Biafran people. That is why this agitation is going on. And it's very unfortunate that the people that are being used to sabotage these agitations are leaders, Biafra leaders. The autopilot and most Biafran groups, IPOB, DOS, have been infiltrated by saboteurs. And these saboteurs are there watching, communicating the movement of these guys to the enemy, in quotes, the government of the day. Imagine an Igbo man sabotaging an agitation for his freedom. Point out to me any leader in the Southeast, any leader, one leader, just one leader in the Southeast, point out to me that resonates with the people, the commonwealth of the Biafran people. Point out one leader, if not for Maznam Kanu. Point out any other political leader. We are looking at this guy in the Senate, this Abia State House of Rep, I think Senate member, Abaribe. Somehow he's becoming. We are also looking at Alex Oti. These are politicians that would have aligned with the commonwealth of the people, whether it is Biafra wise or political wise. Name. We are not producing enough leaders that are nationalists, Igbo nationalists, that will align with an Igbo agenda. We are just producing leaders just for fun and for show. Look at Southeast Development Commission. They carry it and go and give Ojizo Kalu. Huh? Who did a tribe of intelligent people, a tribe of resilient people, a tribe of excellent people, of excellent, prosperous people. We cannot come together, put our acts together, and get our stand on where we are moving towards the Southeast. Traditional rulers. Because if you have an agenda, we all see it. We are seeing the agenda of the Southwest. We are seeing the agenda of the North, Arewa. We see the agenda where they are moving towards. Where is the Southeast moving? Ordinarily, the Southeast corridor. You cannot defend yourself at the house trying to bring in bills. You are afraid to offend the in quote enemy of trying to bring in bills that benefit your region. You are afraid as an Igbo man. Most times I ask this question: the kind of Igbo men we have these days, I don't think they are really Igbo men. There must be a tainted blood. Igbo men of those days, they stand on their feet, they defend their rights, they defend their people. They don't care what happens, whether it is death. They don't care. They stand on their feet. Where are the Igbo leaders that we can also rely on? That's why I'm calling on young Igbo men and women. Please get involved in politics, Igbo politics. Get involved, even if it's at your grassroots. Understand that there's an agenda that Igbo must have to secure their culture and heritage in this region, in the south, in the old Southeast region. There must be an agenda. There's something that we need to map out. This is our pathway. This is where we are going towards, and we'll pursue it with all resilience, with all commitment, with all focus. Not that these leaders that can easily be swayed. I heard that one House of Rep member from Christian became a Muslim because he wants to be relevant in politics. The Fulani will tell you that he wants to be relevant. They give you conditions. The way they are giving them the kind of condition that he refused. This guy is paying. This Nnamdi Kanu is paying the ultimate sacrifice. I pray that Simon Ekpa will not be betrayed by Finland. He has been betrayed by his own people. If he's going to serve any crime, he should do so in Finland, not in Nigeria. I've told you the way some people believe in Simon Ekpa. If you bring him to Nigeria and subject him to some kind of treatment, some people might faint. Some people might might go for the jugular or whatever. Because an average Igbo man, his dream and see, a Biafra to him is like you can deceive him with Biafra agitation. An average Igbo man, you can deceive him with Biafra agitation. He doesn't care. That's a class of Igbo man. Another class of Igbo man are the politicians. They can sell their brother. They can sell their brother because of money, and they know that that is a common decimal, a common factor, common with Igbo people. We have people that are fantasizing Biafra. That Biafra is like a dream come true. While we have other people that are thinking of how to sell their agitation for money and position. That's why I said Nnamdi Kanu would be my only agitator for now. He has his flaws, but he passed the mark. He has remained steadfast. He has been committed and he has shown integrity. He has not shown any side of corruption. You stole this money, you do this, you do that, and everything. He brought the consciousness, and some of us picked up from there. We are not really pushing on this Biafra thing, but when I listen to them, most of the time, I still go back to some of his videos. I do listen, and I get a sense that I belong to a tribe, and that tribe needs to seek expression, and that expression should be in my lifetime. So nobody can gaslight me. We know that some of our leaders remove the clause, secession clause. Now Azikiwe wanted by all means to be part to join Nigeria together, while other people are saying no, let's stay regional. We know Igbo leaders in quotes that are not supported by the people, because I know if you want to gaslight anybody, you say your leaders that we not support. You now, whatever actions they took, you now take it as if we are the ones that took it. We never supported them, but they took it on our behalf. And that is the story. But however, change is what is constant. We will carry this Biafra light in our system, day and night, because an appointed time is appointed, and the appointed time will come that everybody will be singing to your tent, O Israel. Because the political machination now, what is going on, man, it will eventually lead to a place whereby everybody will say, everybody, we need to come together and decide the future of Nigeria. That's what we are moving towards. It is not going to be too long from now.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.